Ken Leonard here, 12 plus year fitness coach, giving you quick fitness tips to change how you think about exercise, nutrition, and lasting athleticism. So today, let's talk about why it can be discouraging to get back into the gym and how to really rekindle that fire. And I'll share a little bit of a personal story. When I was in fourth grade, I fell in love with the sport of football, and for years I did conditioning drills and worked on my speed and hit the weights to really build up my strength and power. And I really felt, and maybe you can relate, I felt really pulled to working out, and almost no motivation was required. But when I reached college, something changed. For me, I decided to hang up the jersey due to a back injury, and for the first time, working out became a real struggle. I had to find motivation, but it was weird. Why? Why did it become a struggle? Why did it become so hard to stay motivated after years of exercising with little push needed? And the reason was because my purpose for working out had changed. It had drastically changed. My reason for exercising was totally different. And I've learned that I'm not alone in this. Many collegiate athletes really struggle to find their drive to work out once they stop playing their sport. And after personally going through this, I learned a few key distinctions for really rekindling your motivation to exercise. And more importantly, for finding a new driving purpose, a compelling reason to exercise, something that really excites you. And, maybe losing 5, 10, or 20 pounds motivates you, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe finding a way to become an athlete again does. So let's talk about 3 different ways to rekindle your motivation. Number 1 is find a new purpose. More importantly, find a new driving purpose, a new compelling reason to exercise. So maybe this is finding a new sport to play, or signing up for a Warrior Dash, or signing up for a Tough Mudder, or a 5K, or a charity walk, or scheduling a hike or multiple hikes, or setting a strength goal for bench press or squat or deadlift or a number of push-ups, or even being able to do a push-up. I mean, that is quite an accomplishment for some people, depending on where you're at. Maybe it's setting a new running goal, okay? All of these can re-spark your drive and really bring out that inner athlete in you again. And as vital as a new purpose is, I would encourage you to take some time to really think on what that would be for you. The next point that I'm going to bring up is something that can really smolder your motivation rather quickly if you don't address it. And that is, so number 2 would be inward comparison. Okay, so inward comparison is comparing yourself to your previous self. So we've all heard we shouldn't compare ourselves to others, but comparing yourself to where you were years ago or even decades ago can be just as problematic. It's constantly measuring yourself up to how fit or strong you used to be. And this constant comparison can just hammer down your confidence and your motivation, especially when you put it on top of it, the belief that I should be better than this. Now, for me, that was a big demotivator for me. I would go to the gym and imagine how much I used to be able to squat or bench press, or how fast I used to be able to sprint. And then I'd compare it with the numbers I was currently doing, and I'd beat myself up. I'd think I should be stronger. I should be able to bench press 250, or I should be able to squat 315 pounds again. And the truth was, no, I shouldn't. Not because I wasn't capable of those numbers, but because I hadn't put in the work. If I would have kept working at it, yes. But since I didn't, I can't be surprised. So what do you do instead? And this brings us to number 3. Have an honest starting location, okay? If you whip out a roadmap, or today it's more so look at Google Maps, to get anywhere, you first have to know where your ultimate destination is. So maybe it's the Grand Canyon or Des Moines or New York City, wherever it is. You have to know where you are starting from. if you are honest about this detail, if you aren't honest, I should say, about this detail, you won't arrive at your destination because different starting points require different routes. Some people have to take back roads and country highways to reach a destination. Other people can just drive across the country on an interstate, and while others just have to go down the street. The same with fitness goals. Some people have 100 plus pounds to drop, or they have a reconstructed knee, or haven't exercised in 20 years. Each starting point requires a different route. And if I'm going to help a former football player who had rotator cuff surgery, I'm going to have a very different plan of attack than working with a handyman, let's say, who hasn't lifted a weight in his life. Your route should be individualized for you. But to do that, you have to be honest about your starting location. Being honest about your weight, your blood pressure, your flexibility, how many push-ups you can do, how far you can run or walk, or how much exercise you are currently getting each week. And this gets you grounded in reality. It may stir up some hurt and some dissatisfaction, but guess what? That might just be the ignition switch. You need to fire up your exercise and nutrition habits again and really kick things up into the next gear. Once you know where you're starting, be at peace with it, because it doesn't mean you have to stay there for very long, but you do have to be honest. And that brings us to number 4. Focus on constant improvement. Focus on improving, even if it's gradual, even if it's baby steps or crawls forward. Focus on walking those few extra blocks, or lifting 5 more pounds, or doing 10 more minutes on the elliptical. Focus on bettering your best. Just push yourself a little bit more each time. And if you better your best over and over again, you're going to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and even potentially where you used to be, okay? Even if you're no longer an athlete, even if it's been years since you've exercised, even if you aren't happy with the shape you are in today, it's time to embrace your inner athlete again. It's time to storm the field again, just in a new way. For more fitness and motivation tips to not only get in shape, but to get that lasting athleticism, check out the link below.